Well, some people have been wondering, what am I doing with my gorgeous garden beds? So I thought I'd talk about that today.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free.
We we have run into a situation now with my garden, partly because of the fact that we are gone more, and partly because I had just been sick for so long, where it's not exactly what I had in mind right now. I think, as you can see, it has become quite overgrown.
Yeah.
So,
you know, when I first built these garden beds, we didn't know that we were going to be spending half the year in Florida.
yeah.
And that's changed a lot of things.
Yeah, it has. I love the gardening. These beds are wonderful, but especially around the time of COVID, and then since then, I had been so sick, it's been hard for me to keep up with it. And I still just absolutely love it. And even with us now having the truck, that means we're gone on more trips, you know. So anyway, I do have some beautiful roses growing in this bed. They used to be all along the sidewalk, but the little baby fawns that we have fawns that grow around these thickets every year. Mama, I have twins and stuff, and it's not the big.
They kept fawning over the roses.
Yep. I tell you, it hasn't been the big adults, it's been the babies that just happily walked right up to the house all the time and ate every single rose they could possibly get their hands on. I'm sure they were delicious. So
we had the roses there for several years, and I don't think they ever got taller than about here because we kept getting eaten.
Kept getting chomped. So a dear friend helped me one day, and we got them transplanted into this bed. And they have been... Actually, they got a hold real well and grew really well. And then, like I said, it had to be gone, and I have not kept up with the weeding. And I can't really say anything about Bill because he has been so busy. So I've got a situation here where I really see that I've still got beautiful, healthy roses in here. They're just gorgeous. And the yellow ones and the pink ones, and oh, they smell so wonderful. So with Bill's help, we're going to try to really get this cleaned up a little bit and see if we can get the roses really going again. We do have access to some wonderful clean wood chips, and you know, I think I can get these beds built back up again, and I'm still hoping to be growing some things in here. But right now I'm thrilled to death that I've still got these beautiful roses. We're going to rescue them. So now with our lifestyle, traveling more, we got to think too about when we're going to be here for harvesting. There may be some things I could harvest just during the time I'm here, but an awful lot of it happens after we're kind of having to get going back down to Florida. So I'll get this all worked out, you know, figure out the best way to make use of these beautiful beds. I can't believe how many roses are coming up right here. I'm glad they're okay. I started this asparagus bed years ago, and it is so successful. But by the time we got back, like mid-April, there was only a couple of cute little stalks down there that were still kind of edible, and the rest of it had just grown like crazy and gone to seed. It's a very healthy patch of asparagus. So what I'm going to do is see if I can talk to my daughter-in-law and just say, please come get asparagus, because I think by the time we're here, it's probably going to be pretty much like turning into an asparagus forest here.
So I've got a real overgrown mess here. I'm going to try to cut away carefully anything that's not rose. Got an actual tree growing in here. The trunk is about as big around as my thumb. This isn't going to cut that. I'm going to have to get a saw to do that. That's crazy. That's just been since this spring that it's grown. This whole thing up here is an actual tree. Here you can see the actual tree that's growing up here. I don't think this hedge trimmer is going to cut it, but I will try. Nope, it's too big around to fit in between here. Huh, it worked. I'm surprised. Now this cage right here is hinged so I can lift it up this way to get to the garden. But of course I can't do that with this grown up through here. All of that is not going to fit through one little hole there. I've been thinking about how I can fix that. But I realized that the side is here, the screen here is necessary to keep the deer off. But this is not really stopping the deer. It would stop birds, but I don't think birds is an issue for roses like it would be for vegetables. So I think I'm just going to cut this top portion out all around here. Try to make a big enough hole that I can get the thing open around the roses. Ouch. You know what? Roses have thorns. Ouch. Okay, I've now got the mesh cut away. I've got holes here. I did it off camera because it was kind of slow and tedious. Now let's see if I can lift this thing and get it over the roses. Probably strip off some of the flowers when I do this. Okay, yeah, lost a lot of the petals, but the plants are still there. Now once again, cut everything away that's not rose. Most of this stuff that I'm cutting now is the branches from that tree, and this cut it up here. It's not going to cut it down there, but I actually have to pull that up by the roots and get it out of there completely. But I want to clear some of this stuff first so I can see what I'm doing. Ouch. Thorns. Okay, so I got a bunch of this cut away. I cut some holes in there so that I could lift this. Look at the size of this actual tree that was in there.
Oh my.
The biggest part of the growth we saw that was real tall was this tree. It's big around as my thumb.
That's a real tree.
Yeah, and we've got some problems down here. Let me show you.
Okay. Wow, it's gonna be hard to get that tree out without damaging the rose bush.
Yeah. Okay, can you come over here now?
Wow, that's a big, thick thing. Whoa.
Okay, so that big rose bush that we were seeing, big tall one with all the flowers, is just this one stalk, one skinny stalk, and it drops over, so that's probably going to have to be staked. But look what we have down here. This is that tree, and it's right into the roots of the rose bush.
Oh,
See that? It's not attached, but it's intertwined.
man.
I don't see that there's any way I can pull that out. I'm going to probably just have to cut this off right here and let it die, but it probably won't die. It'll probably grow new sprouts out of there. And then this old one, I'm not sure what that is, but that one is the same way. It's not a part of the root, but it's intertwined with it. So that's kind of a real problem. Okay, now this other one is the same way. It's got this dead thing from previous years that is also, intertwined with the main rose root. If I pull that out, I'm afraid I'll damage it. So this one is dead, so I think I can just cut that off there and leave it.
Okay.
But I don't know what else to do. So what do you think about what I should do here?
Well, hon, I know that these rose bushes, if we just stake them, they're going to be okay.
Right.
I don't know anything else you can do but just try to cut that off as close to the ground as you can, and we just have to keep an eye on it. And then this one's dead, so I don't think it's going to be a problem.
And then also, these are roses are kind of scraggly because they had so much stuff growing around it. It had to grow this one long thing to get up above to get any sun. So.
Well, this coming right before we leave, before we leave, we'll try to go ahead and give them a good pruning, and I think that'll help them for next year.
Right. And then over here, we still got that one that I haven't started to untangle yet.
Okay.
And then we've got this little one here in the middle. It's still got some growth, but it's not looking healthy.
Well,
and
maybe
there's another one there too. I don't know if those will survive or not.
If we can, properly prune them and get the stuff out of their way, maybe they're going to have a chance.
Okay. Let's see what I can do about cutting this tree out of there.
Thank you so much, hon. Boy, that thing grew big.
Yep.
Whew.
Those are all falling over now. They need to be staked or something. Now I also need to clear up this side. So I also need to cut away the cage over here to set this rose bush free. All right, I'm going to shut off the camera because this is kind of tedious. Okay, so I got enough of this screen cut away now that I'm going to be able to open the lid to this cage. And working here on these roses, it makes me realize that, life is not always a bed of roses. Sometimes it's a bed of asparagus. Ba-dum-chink, yeah. Now, since these are all growing up, I'm going to be cutting the screen away from the whole top part so it'll have more room to grow. But before we leave in the fall for Florida, we'll probably prune these way back again. They just need pruning to be healthy. And at the same time, we'll prune back the asparagus so that we have a good harvest next spring of asparagus. And when we do that, it will be the pruning of the cage of asparagus. The cage of asparagus. 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 Let's see if I can open this. Okay, it's not nearly as much cleanup to do on this side. Now there's something interesting over here with this rose bush. Usually, you know, they always send up new sprouts. Usually when they do, it just comes right up out of the root like that. But this one, the main part of the old plant here is all dead, and it's got new sprouts coming up. But it's got them all the way over here. They're not coming out of the root ball. They're coming out of the ground over here, like 6 inches away from the main root ball. I've never quite seen anything like that before. But then I'm not a rose arbor. Is that what you call them? Maybe some of you who grow roses all the time know more about that than I do. But anyway, I thought that plant was dead, but it's sending up a whole bunch of new shoots. Now this one here in the center I thought was completely dead, but once I get everything else away from it, I see that it does have one tiny little shoot coming up. But I don't know. I don't really think that's going to survive. So I think I'm going to just eliminate that. If she wants another one here, we can go buy another one that's already growing and more mature. Wow, didn't realize the roots were so deep on these things. That's amazing. It's like a tree root, great big thing. And I know I should have garden gloves, and we've got some someplace, but I don't know where they are. And I don't want to take a trip all the way down to Lowe's to buy some more right now. I'm really surprised at the size of that root. It's like a small tree. Look at that. Wow. Anyway, so sorry, rose bush. Now, many of you may remember that we share a driveway with our son. His house is just further up the hill. And we have a friend who has a tree service. And he cuts down trees and chips up the branches. And he doesn't have any place to dump his chips. So we allow him to come here and dump his chips here. Barry and I both use this mulch all over our properties, and this is good stuff because it's all natural, just tree branches that he cut down and chipped up, so there aren't any kind of chemicals or anything in here. Wow, working right here, the smell of these roses is really potent. It's really strong. Looks like I'm going to need 2 or 3 more loads for each bed. Okay, so now I got all the mulch done in this first bed, all the weeds cleaned out. Okay, so now I just need to finish cutting the rest of this screen out of this one section so that the roses can pop through when I close the top. This is chicken wire, and this has been here for like ever since I built this thing, what, 4 years ago. It's starting to get rusty. It's starting to get to the point where it should probably be replaced anyway. So if I ever want to put it back, I can do that. All right, let's see if I can get this closed and not mess up the roses too much. So most of the blossoms that were there, I started this a couple days ago and they were all big, beautiful bloom. But many of these are now past prime and falling apart. And then with all the messing around I've been doing, most of them have lost the petals. But those, of course, they'll be an whole new batch of flowers coming out soon. Yeah, that looks much better. So now I've got the screen cut out on this side as well. So this side had most of the blooms destroyed while I was doing the work. But look at this side. Look at all of those buds that are just about to come out. That's crazy right there. Bunch more right here. That's going to be beautiful. Now this cage doesn't really have anything growing in it except the asparagus and some grass. And I want to clear out that grass, all the weeds are in there. But in order to do that, I have to lift this cage. I was planning on waiting until fall, just before we leave for Florida, to prune the asparagus back, but I'm going to have to do it now in order to get this cage up. So, and then I'll have to do it again just before we leave, prune it real short. If you don't know how asparagus grows, this is an established bed. You got to plant it, and it takes probably at least 2 years before you can start to harvest. And then when the sprouts first come up in the spring, those are the little sprouts that you see in the grocery store. You cut them off when they're only about this big. If you don't cut them off, then they grow like this, and then they go to seed. And of course, this is no longer edible. You can only harvest them first thing in the spring when the sprouts are real short. So I'll trim all this off, and then I'll trim it again in the fall, and then next spring the new sprouts will come up that we can actually harvest. Hopefully we'll be here early enough next spring, coming back from Florida, to actually do the harvesting. All right, there we go. So I guess I'll cut this off a little lower, because right now it's right up to the very top of that cage. These are some of the old plants from a year ago that we never culled out of here. You smell like asparagus, but that's mostly woody. It's not edible. So now I want to weed out the grass and the weeds without pulling up any of the asparagus. So as I'm working to pull out the weeds and clean this up, I see one little asparagus sprout right there. That's what they should look like when you harvest them. Then if you don't harvest them, they grow tall. Okay, so now I've got all the weeds cleared out. Asparagus looks considerably better. Now we can actually see what we've got there. Now this cardboard here, I put this cardboard down last fall before we left. That is a weed barrier, and cardboard is actually quite effective, and you can just leave it there and it rots into the soil. It's not a problem. So some of the weeds that I pulled out there, I put here. I'm just going to cover this now in mulch. Pull up those last few weeds. All right, so now I got this one all cleaned out. Mostly chips and a nice stand of asparagus here. There's a bird's nest. So, on to the next one. And this one is nothing but weeds. So whatever this is, I can just pull them up. All right. I'm gonna have to dig them up. They got big roots. So now I've got this one all cleaned out, ready to put the chips in it. And then this one over here, it's got nothing growing in it. It's just a bunch of grass that laid down, and it didn't regrow in the spring. I don't know why, but so I'll just push that little bit of grass down and fill that with chips as well. So I don't know if I can lift this up here and dump it or not. I'm going to try. That way I don't have to shovel it. Yeah. That actually worked here because that's a relatively short wall. This is down low to the ground. The other ones are about 8 inches higher, and I wouldn't be able to, because this is heavy, I wouldn't be able to lift it up there. But this worked. Cool. So now I got all the beds cleaned out, and I got all of this stuff that I cleared. So I have a strip of woods in the back of my property. I'm just going to take this back and dump it back there in the woods. I have a brush pile back there. Well, dear, so tell me what you think.
Oh, this is going to give them a chance to just really grow, but they're going to be away from the fawns, which is wonderful. I'm going to get out here with some like garden shears and deadhead any of these that are gone, that have, you know, where the flowers all wilted now. But there's more roses coming, and I think they're going to do very well. I'm really pleased that they came out as well as they have, hon. I really am. So, and my goodness, look at the buds here. Like I said, I'm going to have to clip off the ones that are already gone, but got buds and buds. I'm excited. Thank you. That's so cool. And there's 2 that are making it just fine over here, and I can plant another one in the middle, and then that one's still alive. Let's see what it does. Yep. Oh, look at my cute asparagus patch. We found a few little pieces that were tasty. That's a healthy asparagus forest. I told Molly that if we're not here when it first starts to produce, to go ahead and come and pick it. And then we just found out that if we cut it down after the first growth, we might get a second growth when we're here. That would be really cool. So, oh, these look good, hun. All these nice wood chips in there. It'll take them a while to break down and add organic food to the dirt, the soil there. But I'm glad we have all these chips available. Yep. And they're safe for a garden.
So what are our plans for the garden in the future?
Well, I want to keep this rose bed going as well as I possibly can and get them as healthy as I can. We certainly have asparagus. And I am just trusting that I can get enough better that I can plan on planting like when I first get back again and see what I can grow in here. Thank you for putting all the chips and stuff down, and hopefully when we return again next spring, we can just quickly do any weeding necessary and I can get some planting done.
Yeah, and you know, this year our RV trip is going to be 2 full months, and it's going to be late in the season, in August and September. So, and then not long after we get back, we'll be headed for Florida. So we're really not here. We're gone for 2 months during the growing season, and then we're not really here through the harvest that much. But next year we'll be taking an RV trip, but it won't be 2 months. It might be 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're not going to do a big long one from Virginia again. We'll do
Right.
shorter ones. But we just need to get up into the Northwest while there's still an opportunity.
Yeah. So
We won't be doing that again.
next year there might be a better chance to do some gardening.
Yeah.
And you know, these beds are always here now. They're certainly not going anywhere the way I built them.
Yes.
So, and things change, you know. So we'll just hang on to them and see what we can do with them in the future.
My dream is to get some of that beautiful, it's just like white lattice work that's made out of that non-destructible kind of stuff, and cover the sides and just make it look really pretty.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to have them, and I certainly am enjoying these roses that are not getting eaten up now.
Right.
He worked hard on this, and I really don't take here. I need to balance. Sorry. Thank you. I'm losing my balance. I don't take it for granted how hard he's worked, and I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you.
Yep.
So.
Well, I guess we're done.
Yeah, I guess so.
So thanks for watching.
Yes, live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
We love you guys, and we will be seeing you soon. We have a lot of stuff to show you.
All right.
Bye-bye.